Greetings. This is the second part of the three-part series about the HOPE Goldbook. That pamphlet, if you will, that sets the tone and the context for every HOPE group meeting. This part is the second one we read, and it's called The Principles of Attitudinal Healing. So it is appropriate, isn't it, that I give you some idea of what this is all about. Principles are easy. What is attitudinal healing? Well, in many of the presentations that I've done and will do in the future, I talk about the work of Earl Nightingale, who was unquestionably the world's greatest student of success, which for him was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Earl started on his study of success at the age of 12 in 1933 when his father abandoned the family, leaving the mother and the kids to fend for themselves, and Mom did a great job. Dad was a blue-collar worker. Earl wasn't interested in blue-collar work. For him, business was it, business, business, business. And he knew they didn't have the money to be able to afford education beyond high school. So he took himself to the local library. Where else? And the librarian was an angel. She really was an angel. She provided him with an ongoing collection of books written by, about, for success and successful people. And it was his study that led him to this wonderful appreciation that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And every one of us is born with one. But, Earl would say, the circumstances of one's life might make us forget that worthy ideal, or discard it, put it aside, stop living it. And he said, that's all right, because now that you know that you were born with a worthy ideal, the greatest favor you can do for yourself and others, and the greatest thing you can do for your health and the health of others, is to recall that worthy ideal with which you were born, and then serve it. Serve it. Serve that ideal. You're serving a higher purpose. And the rewards for this are tremendous. And there may be money in the rewards, but it's far more real to think in terms of spiritual rewards. And Earl said that the key to the gold mine of the mind that makes the success movement possible is one word, and that word is attitude. So then, briefly, to go to attitude, this is an attitude. This is an attitude. This is an attitude. It's a posture, isn't it? And I can make it a posture of my voice. I can make it a posture of my voice. And interestingly enough, if you practice these things and pay attention to your body, you'll start feeling what you're projecting. And Earl said that the attitudes that you're projecting will always get reflected back at you. He also said that attitudes are always chosen. So we can say, nobody made me feel mad, sad, or glad. I always chose which one I felt. If I'm seeing something that's not attractive or appealing or good for me in the world around me, decide what attitude I would like to see, and then work on being that attitude. This is marvelously simple stuff. But is it easy? No. No, it is not easy. It can turn out to be the hardest work you ever did in your life. Just know that. And yet, it is also the most rewarding. So, there are 12 principles of attitudinal healing, and I would like to read each one of them. They were created by a guy by the name of Jerry Jampolsky, who was a child psychiatrist in Tiburon, California, which overlooks San Francisco Bay from the northwest. Jerry had grown up dyslexic. He's got a wonderful way of expressing things which reflects his dyslexia, which is neat. I love it. However, he didn't know he was dyslexic, and neither did his parents, and neither did anyone else, because it only happens that he's about 7 or 8 years older than I am. And dyslexia wasn't recognized until after the end of the Second World War. And Jerry worked very hard in high school to get the grades that got him a high school diploma, which got him into university. And there he was found to be illiterate. He could not read. And the professor who found this out confronted him, and Jerry was very clever at defending himself. But the professor said, I know what's going on. We're just finding out that this is a reading problem, and we've got a reading teacher here at the university. Now, Jampolsky, make an appointment to see that person and work with him. Because if you don't, you're going to fail my course. And if you fail my course, you're out of the university. Jerry's back was to the wall. He was very angry. He was defensive all the time. Why? Because his family's idea of making Jerry better was to call him the dummy. He had 2 straight-A student older brothers, but he could never get better than a C-. What's the matter, dummy? Why can't you get grades like your brothers? Nobody knew. And this reading coach at the University of California sat him down with a book, said, read it. And Jerry stumbled all over the place. He said, you cannot read. Now, look in the mirror. And he put a mirror up alongside the page. Jerry looked in it, and every word made sense. Classical dyslexia. But he still had the anger. However, grades up into the A's, and his choice of profession, strangely enough, child psychiatry, did beautifully. Excellent practitioner. Still had the legacy of being the dummy, and it owned him, and it was destroying his life. And a friend of his asked him to read A Course in Miracles for its psychological value. Jerry took a look at it, because he could look without mirrors now. He said, you don't want me doing this. This is Christian. I'm Jewish. And furthermore, I'm an atheist. This doesn't work. And his friend Judy Scotch-Whitson said, no, Jerry, that's why we want your opinion. And he dutifully went through it and he thinks it was in the instructor's guide. He saw it, and it was one upside the head of the cosmic 2x4. And he said, Jerry, this is your way home. Physician, heal thyself. It was that fast. And his dysfunctional behaviors, and he had a bunch of them, evaporated overnight. It was work, and he kept working on it. He's still working on it. And he created the Centers for Attitudinal Healing in his psychiatric practice. And he is the founder of the International Network for Attitudinal Healing. There are centers all over the world, and HOPE is a center for attitudinal healing. To heal is to make whole, is to correct faults, is to bring fragments together. Okay? So let's go through the 12 principles. The first one, I love it. The essence of our being is love. There it is. And I've talked about love, but I make love in the big sense of the word. It's all about relationships. It's all about relationships. Unconditional relationships. Growing out of peace. That's what it is. It's the 30 trillion cells in your body all collaborating with each other in organs and organ systems to be you, to be your container in this life, at this time, on this earth. 30 trillion. They're all working together. This is what love is all about. So the essence of our being is love. Health is inner peace, is the second one. Healing is letting go of fear. Health is inner peace. Inner peace. And of course the Dalai Lama is famous for his talking about inner peace. Well, so is the Course in Miracles. The peace that we're all looking for is in here. It's in the core of your being. And I would like to just offer you that when you start working on peace, pay attention to the core of your being. Because sooner or later you're going to be able to start telling yourself and others what that inner peace feels like. Because right up front, as you create that inner peace, it is going to create a whole chemical tone in your body that'll get carried to your brain. It's better than Prozac. And it all comes from your core. Your gut is a great chemical producer. How about that? Isn't that kind of interesting? Okay. Healing is letting go of fear. Now talk about fear. Fear is a projection in time to a time that doesn't exist. It goes to tomorrow. It goes for next month, next week, next year. But it's not today. It's not here. It's not now. Okay, so I've said before, and when we can let go of fear, and we do so through the practice of forgiveness, energized by the practice of compassion. I'll say this, and I'll say this again. 5,000 HOPE meetings have taught this into that many. It's been a great experience. Okay, so let go of fear, and I've said this before, and become aware. When you're doing 360s on black ice here in Maine, you're not afraid. You are very aware. You are driving that car to the best of your ability. Go to a dojo. They'll teach you about that. Yes. Martial arts are great at teaching people how to be in their center. Okay? So healing is indeed letting go of fear. In this way we start the practice and process of becoming whole. Now the order of these things may not flow as you'd like, but the third principle of attitudinal healing is giving and receiving are the same. Just think of that. Giving and receiving are the same. It's a way of stating the law of returns. You know, as you give, you get. So that as you get, you give. Give away what you've got. And the spiritual lesson around the world for thousands of years is that it will come back to you bigger than it was when you left. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Giving and receiving are the same. It's a dynamic, creative tension between two or more people. And it's a flow of love, which means no fear. And no fear, no need to protect, defend, no need for anger. Brene Brown, vulnerability. Great person, great work. B.O. Jen Polsky. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. A Course in Miracles. Do you see I'm talking in circles here? This whole thing returns on itself. So let's just get the image that this is a dance that we're working on. Yeah. It's a beautiful dance, and we're all participants in it. Number 4, we can let go of the past and of the future. That's talking about getting rid of fear, and in the past are shame, blame, and guilt. Yes. Very toxic attitudes, emotions, shame. I have a mistake and I can't know that. You can build something, as Brene Brown points out of guilt, which is to say, I'm guilty, I made a mistake, I want to correct it. Guilt, number 1. Blame, you made a mistake. Come on, own it, and build on it, and make amends. we go. So we let go of the past and we become responsible, accountable for our yesterdays and for all the choices we made in our life. Because if you're anything like me, and everybody is, in this respect, you made a lot of choices in your life. And some of them you may regret. Some of them, I regret. And where possible, I work to make an amendment. We're getting on. This one I love. Now is the only time there is, and each instant is for giving. Well, that refers back to 4, doesn't it? About letting go of the past and of the future. Now is the only time there is. And Paul Gorman and Ram Dass wrote a book together called Be Here Now. Yeah. Let go of your attachments to your past, to other people, to your future. Let go. Let it go. And you'll be here now, which is the only time and place there is. I learned years ago to share with people in HOPE meetings to say, you've been given a set of coordinates in space and time. I've been given them. I'm standing right there in that set of coordinates right now. Because it feels good. It feels good. So I am here. I am now. I'm not projecting to times that don't exist or to places that don't exist. Now is the only time there is in each instance for giving. And that's it. Number 6, we can learn to love each other and ourselves by forgiving rather than judging. To forgive literally means to give away completely. That F-O-R stands for all of it. Okay? Give. Give what? Give away my attachments to people, places, and things, and times that are not mine. And that's forgiveness, right there. And we say now is the only time there is in each instant is for giving. Many times in HOPE meetings, they run that for giving together. They say each instant is forgiving. That's a nice play on words to me. A nice play on words. Very powerful. Very powerful. Okay. We're talking about love. And 777 says we can become love finders rather than fault finders. Okay. Forgive rather than judge. Everybody's doing their best. And it doesn't always work out, right? Okay. Here's the Dalai Lama stuff. We can choose and direct ourselves to be peaceful inside regardless of what is happening outside. Go pull a Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz. Okay. Or Nelson Mandela confined in Northern Ireland for 27 years. Directing himself to be peaceful inside, regardless of the hell that's going on around. It's not about denial. It's just about centering. People sense that you're being peaceful. And they'll tell you about it. If you've got a little bit too much of that in a Nazi camp, they might kill you. But Frankl was a master. He survived 3 years. And his odds of making 3 years survival in all those camps was 1 out of 28. All right, so here I stand, and I'm moving a lot of stuff in your way, and I am a teacher to you. I say I'm sharing experience. But you know, your responses are going to teach me a lot, okay? Giving and receiving are the same. We're students and teachers to each other. It's just a way of saying the same thing. The law of returns works. In the dynamic between human beings, yes. And so, having gone through this whole image, number 10 says, we can focus on the whole of life rather than the fragments. Trauma of all kinds fragments our spiritual self, our soul. And when we start focusing on the whole of life and bringing it all together in a meaningful context, then you bring your fragments together. And you bring your fragments together, and that's becoming whole. Whole, health, heal, holy, all come from the same word group. They all imply, essentially, the same thing. Number 11. This has proven to be really challenging over the years. But people get it. Some of them take a long time, and some of them get it quickly. Since love is eternal, death need not be viewed as fearful. So, if the universe is a field of love, and nothing in the universe ever dies, in other words, this body of mine, this house of mine, my home that I'm living in, is something that I will leave someday. But there's this whole thing called reincarnation that says that this self here is going to go on. Okay? It's good stuff. Number 12, it's sort of the service thing. We can always perceive others as extending love or giving a call for love. That's the way we say it. In the Course in Miracles, it's a call for help. But a dear friend of mine who was a social worker and a counselor said to me, "You ever say to your patients, 'How can I help you?'" I used to until she challenged me. Because how can I help you implies two things. One is that you're looking for it, and two, I can give it to you. Right? And that may not be what it's all about. The most important thing is, what brings you here? And what would you like to take home with you? In the Course in Miracles, it becomes, what would you like to have happen? And that's a matter of intention. Okay, so all of that fits into a richer, bigger field than just simple help. You're having a tough time getting up those stairs. Would you like me to give you a hand? That's different than help. So we can fuss over this. But the whole thing is, when you see somebody's actions, they're either extending love, radiating out from themselves, or giving a call for it. So there they are. 12 principles of attitude. And they're there because they set the attitudinal context for the HOPE group meeting that follows. All right? It does its own work in its own way, doing this work, very much like reading the 12-step program opens a meeting of 12-steppers for any reason whatsoever. So, my friend, there it is. It's for you. 12 principles of attitudinal healing. Go and enjoy your life. It's yours, and share it with others.